If you have ever tried to build something massive, a company, an empire, a legacy, you would know that the journey isn't easy. Many start, but very few scale. Even fewer do it without losing themselves along the way. My guest today is living proof that you can defy all the odds.
Starting a business with minus zero. You know, some people say they started with zero capital. We started with minus zero capital. We were owing while we started the business. We had debt burden, but we started all the same.
Wisdom Ezekiel is the co-founder of the Pertinence Group, built it into a multi-million-dollar real estate empire, and went on to launch multiple ventures in technology, in investment, and beyond. But here's the part that caught my attention. He didn't just build wealth, he built it with intention.
In all sincerity, there has to be something driving you. And you must be willing to give up something for something that you want.
He is passionate about leadership, legacy, and strategy. And today we're going to dig deep into how he started from scratch to build a multi-million-dollar venture without burning out. So, if you're ready to learn what it really takes to create lasting wealth without sacrificing your time, your family, and your freedom, lean in. This conversation might just change how you see success. Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel, you are welcome. Now, we know you are the co-founder of the Pertinence Group and several other businesses that you have founded and you're running, right? But we want to know, before all of these ventures, how did you start? What was the beginning like? How did you get started to get to where you are today? Speak to us about that.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so grateful to you for the opportunity to be here with you and to also commend the fact that you're doing a lot and inspiring people all over the world. And we know that this will go to greater heights. So for me, early stage. So before now, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I've always wanted to do business. While growing up, my mom, one of the things she wanted to ensure that I don't get involved in was business, because I was always looking for ways to do business. I remember one incident that happened. I was maybe 7 years old then, when one of my friends we used to attend the same school. I usually would notice that this guy comes to school, he has pocket money. And because he has pocket money, he's able to buy things that I cannot buy. Sometimes when I ask him, he said, that he does business with the mom. So the mom sends him to go and hawk. And when he finishes hawking, he comes back, the mom will give him pocket money out of it. So I said, I love this kind of thing. I like to also make money like this. How can you take me there? And one of the days I followed him to go and hawk. After that hawking, go back home, my mom was not happy with me at all. She was like, who sent you to go and hawk and all of that? You want people to feel that I cannot take care of you and all of that. And I said, well, no, that's not it. She warned me never to do it again. One day I went to meet her, I said, I want to actually do it. Okay, give me permission to go and do it. And she refused, that she wasn't going to allow me go hawking. Why did I want to go and hawk? I just wanted to make money. So that entrepreneurship dimension was my DNA. And I got it from her because my mom was also an entrepreneur who all through her life tried her best, even without a husband, to bring up about 5 children, and me being the last born, I was always observing many things and I wanted to do it. So, but while I was growing up, a lot happened because my story is very long, so I will just cut it short. I used to say when I was going to write my book, a little mini biography, autobiography that I wrote, I said after I finished reading that book, the book inspired me myself. And so I wonder what it will do to the other readers. The early days, We didn't just start Pertinence. We started as myself and my business partner. We started as friends working in a particular financial services company. Unfortunately, this financial services company went bad. The operation of that financial services company was more of an entrepreneurship system. So we're basically earning commission based on whatever we pull into that organization. And I love it because I've always loved to generate income myself, not to depend on salaries and all of that. So when that organization went down, it was quite devastating. So we were just looking for what other things can we do, and it was in the process we decided to, I think we got a number of contracts here and there to supply one or two things. And we decided that, we can't just be supplying based on our individual account. We'll have to register a business. That was how we registered Pertinence Group, and we started in one small cubicle somewhere in where they call Akwonjo in Lagos State, Nigeria. That cubicle was all we had. We had our training center. All right, it was a small room. All right, but we divided it into two because we wanted to create a training center where we can train our marketers and all of that. And we, apart from having the training center, we now had the director's office where two of us share, where we do all the administrative works. When training is not going on, the training center is converted to a reception. But when training is going on, we remove the reception. And that was how it all started. I remember going back to that plaza many years later. I think it was when we were going to celebrate our 5th anniversary. We went to shoot a particular episode there. The people there were just surprised. They couldn't recognize us because these young men who used to be the first to open their shop, the way we call it shop, all right? And the last people to close the shop, because from the early stage of the business, we just gave it the required dedication because we didn't have any other option. People have jobs they were doing. We didn't have anything to fall back to. Eventually, when we went back there, people could not recognize us because we had changed, we had transformed, we had moved. When we went back again, when we were going to do 10th year anniversary, and went back, in fact, the gap was too far, it was too wide. Our so-called landlord then, who was seeing us as nuisance, was even offering me a property of about 200 million naira to buy. And I was negotiating, with confidence, all right? So he was like, wow, so this is how it can be, So the early days were very rough. I know to succeed in business, we had to do a lot. We sold magazines. So we literally will hawk magazines from office to office, all right? Business magazine, relationship magazines, because we're just looking for how to survive. I remember I used to go to an international market called Alaba, and I would buy this seminar in DVD and we'll hawk it from one place to the other. One of the eateries where we hawked that thing to, myself and my business partner, there's nothing we didn't do just to ensure that we survived. We got there, the man asked us to wait for hours. We were just waiting. Eventually, when he came out, he gave us a very, very negative response. And we left there, but because we are very resolute people, we didn't mind, we continued. And when the situation turned around, one of the days I went back there to show that things has changed. He couldn't recognize me, That's the reason why today, when I see people who are, trying to make ends meet, putting all the effort, the best I can do is to encourage them and not to, give them a memory that when they now make it, they will remember that this guy treated me bad. So those were more like the early days, but eventually vision came true. We started seeing our vision become a reality, and today something to celebrate.
Oh wow, that's so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. You were talking about how you read your own story and it was inspiring to you. I mean, the few minutes you've just shared with us is inspiring to even me myself. I can imagine to everybody out there. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. Now, you've talked about, we know where it is that Pertinence Group has gotten to right now, what it is that you're doing, but I can imagine, just like every other business, there's been so many challenges along the way. So what are some of the challenges, the major challenges that you faced, and which one would you say was the hardest moment in the course of your journey to building, Pertinence Group and all the other things that you do to where it is right now? So what are the challenges you faced? I know how it could be, particularly building a business in a business environment like in the Nigerian market, right? So what are the challenges that you faced, and what would you say was the hardest moment that you faced so far?
Well, it's business is a roller coaster of challenges. As you are coming out of one, you're entering another one. So in terms of categorizing it to the hardest, I'm not sure. Maybe I will ask AI. And AI, these are all the challenges I've gone through. Can you help me categorize them and give me which one is the hardest? Because we went through a lot of challenges, and we are still going through challenges even up to today. What I say to business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are pursuing different ventures is challenges should be like breakfast, lunch, and dinner to you. You eat it because it's part of what you eat to become great. Greatness is not put on your laps, all right? One of our presidents said that power is not served a la carte. You have to grab it, you have to take it, you have to ensure. And to be sincere, if you wait for power, you will never get one. You go for power. If you wait for things to get better, you will never come to a point where things are completely rosy. So we were facing challenges, but I will just highlight a few that came pretty early. One of the challenges we faced pretty early was the challenge of lack of resources. Every business will face that, this lack of resources. You couldn't even pay yourself, not to talk of pay your staffs. I remember those days we used to contribute money to pay our staff, the only staff we had. We first had one, later we had two. Myself and my business partner, we would not have money. We couldn't pay ourselves, but we were paying those two staffs because from the inception, we promised ourselves that we would not owe staff salaries and we'll do everything possible. In fact, there are times when we borrowed to pay salaries, just to say we will not owe staff salaries. So those kind of scarcity where you couldn't really meet your needs, all right, was there. Where you had products that you had designed, but they weren't selling at the level that you expected to sell. Those were part of the challenges that we had early in the business. And to be sincere, at a point, it became like a family challenge. It trickled down to our families because I remember one of those days I would be going to work. I would just leave something very small for my wife. I would just got married then. I don't know why I like taking up challenges when I have challenges. I would take more. I had challenges with finances and I carried a wife added to it. So, just leave one small money and all of that. One day my wife gave me a proposal that I should get a job, all right? That she knows I'm running a business, but it would be nice to get a job that at least if I have a defined amount I'm giving her on a monthly basis, she will just be fine. It was one of those days that I wasn't too comfortable with my wife. I had to let her know that this wouldn't work at all because I was set on a mission and I didn't want any distraction. But it was part of the lack of finance that we were facing that caused that particular problem. Eventually, we resolved it, and a few years later, she's much more happier with it than me going to look for a job. She wanted me to be an entrepreneur. She just wanted that, while you are pursuing your entrepreneurial journey, add a job to it so that the job can be feeding us while you are pursuing your entrepreneurial journey. But I felt that if I didn't give it the all, it would not have resulted to what it is today. And I am very grateful to my wife for the sacrifice that she paid. To our entire family, they really paid a lot of sacrifice for us to be here. One of the ways we solve that problem is, as a business person, you must keep thinking on your toes. We developed more like a principle, and the principle, we coined a statement: do nothing, get nothing. Do nothing, get nothing. Play is a reward for hard work. Playing is a reward for hard work. That was the mindset and the concept we carried. So we kept telling ourselves that if we do nothing, we will get nothing. So sit down and craft what you need to do. So one of those days, we sat together, myself and my business partner, and we said, look, we're going to crack this nut today. And the first thing that came to us was a redefinition of our vision. And we started asking ourselves, I asked him, I said, so what's your vision in life? What do you want to achieve? He told me, he asked me, I told him the same thing. And we were able to put that vision together. That's to say that for every organization, you must find the place of vision. If you don't have a vision, nothing will drive you. Vision is that internal mechanism that is put together in a business that drives the business from the inside. You see the result on the outside, but it's being driven by the internal vision of that particular organization. So we sat down there, and that was where we crafted the vision: enterprise development and people empowerment. We told ourselves that our vision is to create businesses that will empower people. Create businesses that will empower people. And right there and there, we gave ourselves a target that in the next 5 years, we are going to raise 100 millionaires, people who can boast that they have earned over $1 million using our business model. And that was where we started. We had not made the first 1 million ourselves, but we're designing that way, because that became our business model. That became the vision, the direction that we're going. And that was what we came up with. And we started looking for products, whatever can meet that vision. We started looking for it. And real estate fell into some of the things that could meet that business model. And we used real estate, put it together, started organizing seminars. That's why our offices, there's no office that we have had that will not have a training center. We will always have a training center. We train people, create a platform for them to practice what we have taught them, then create a system, business system around it to reward them for their hard work. And that was it. And we started. And that was the driving force that changed that narrative for us, changed that situation that we found ourselves. And before we knew it, helping 100 people became millionaires, we became multi-millionaires. Now, by the time we helped 1,000 people become millionaires, that shot us into the realms of billions. And right now, we are now helping people become billionaires. And that is now shooting us into the realms of multiple billions that we're now doing in our own business. So that's one of the challenges. I don't know whether I should say more.
Oh, wow. I mean, this is really amazing. See, your case is a classic example of starting a business from scratch and building it into the multi-billion-dollar business that it is right now, which is really amazing.
With minus zero. Some people say they started with zero capital. We started with minus zero capital. We were owing.
Interesting.
Why we started the business. So we had debt burden, but we started all the same.
And from the conversation, you talked about the power of vision, how you needed to have the vision. And from what I see there, your vision was, and part of what I talk to people about is what you just said there. Your vision was more than for yourself. You were thinking about how to empower other people there. And for as long as you were empowering other people, I mean, it's just like talking about the pipe, right? The pipe would always remain wet for as long as water is flowing through it, because you were helping other people become, established millionaires and billionaires. Automatically your own water, your pipe was also wet as well, which is very, very fantastic. That's a classic example that you just explained to us there. Now, in the course of the conversation there, you were talking about how at some point when you started off, you had a full-time job, but then you were always passionate about entrepreneurship and stuff like that, and then you pursued that path even when your wife felt otherwise at some point, but you were still resolute about that. Now, for someone that may be listening right now, maybe they are still on the path of a full-time career, they have a job and stuff, but they have this passion for entrepreneurship, just the way you had it. What advice would you be giving to them right now? Would you just say, follow your dreams, pack up, resign, go follow your dreams? Or what exactly would you be saying to them? Because they may be driven by what it is that you've talked about. Oh, this is what I want to do, but I'm stuck at a job right now. I need to earn a living. Probably they have a family as well to take care of. And they're in that dilemma. What would you be saying to them in this kind of situation?
Well, very interesting. One of the people that can put you in trouble the most are motivational speakers. Because when they motivate you, you want to jump out and jump into something. You want to just jump out of the known into the unknown. And I try not to do that. But in all sincerity, there has to be a drive, that there has to be something driving you. And you must be willing to give up something for something that you want. Now, you may be working somewhere today, and my advice is not just go and leave the job. Look at having a plan, something that can help you more like a journey that can help you transit from job to your business. For some people, it might be ideal to start the business part-time while you are still working and build the business to the extent that it can take you full-time. Then you can now transit into that. But so for some people, the kind of thing you want to achieve and the energy that it requires to run, you may not be able to run that kind of business part-time. So it might mean burning your bridges, it might mean giving up something, it might mean suffering for a number of months or even some years, but just have something that can help you just survive while you are focusing on your business. I was in a seminar last week, and they asked me a question that we have said that you shouldn't just hustle, you should start a business. That if your business is more, maybe you started a business for survival, that you are not starting a business, you're just hustling. The way we are used to say it, if your business is for survival, then you're just hustling and all of that. And that's so, but where is the place of balance where someone can, while you are starting a business can take some of your time, it can take a little of time to, pick up, but you need to survive as a person. And I said, look, there's something called side hustle, all right? You can have some side hustle that is for survival, but you must get to the point where you cross from side hustle to business. Now, because the person even asked a question that, how do you cross from side hustle to business? And I gave an example. When that thing happened with my wife, what my wife was trying to tell me was that I should deviate a little time to side hustling, all right? And, be doing the business at the side. As at that time, my total commitment was in that business. I have gotten to the point where I knew that business was going to succeed. I've gotten to that point. So you need to get to the point. If you have not gotten to that point and you resign, by the time something hits you, you run back and go and look for another job. Okay? But you need to get to the point where something hits you, you are there. You would rather die than go back. All right, but you need to come to that place in your mind. You need to come to that place in the conviction that you have in your thought process. You need to come to that point. I had many years ago, I think I read a particular book and the man was talking about how he made millions. He said that making $1 million was the easiest thing he ever made in his life. He said, but believing that he could make $1 million was the hardest thing he ever had to combat. So it is the belief that is the driver. If you are someone who has a business idea and you are working today and you are still having that imbalance, thought, will it work, will it not work, and you don't have that strong conviction in your heart that it can work, it might be risky to go and leave your job and jump into it, maybe start it part-time. But if you have gotten to that point where you are resolute that this is either yes or yes, then you can say, I am burning my bridges, I'm going all the way, and I'm willing to suffer for what I'm going to enjoy in the future. That was where I was, all right? As at that time, I was willing to suffer. I was not willing to experiment any longer. Say, while I'm working, let me be doing the business part-time. The business at that time needed full-time, and I couldn't give up the business. So if you get to that point where you cannot give up the business, that is when you have started business. That's when you have crossed from side hustle to running your business. So for anybody, I would say analyze it properly. Come to that point where you can say, I am in for it before you can take the move. If you can't come to that point yet, start it as a part-time while it's running. I've seen people who did that and it worked for them. They started the business was generating more, all right, than their salary. And they say, I'm doing the business part-time, it's generating more than my salary. Is it not better to resign and go and join and go and put my full energy in this business? And it worked for them. And I've seen people who were doing it part-time and it wasn't working. The moment they resigned and put all their energy in that business, the business picked up and started becoming successful. So it depends on your situation. But for me, I'm more like a very stubborn and radical business person. So I don't like doing anything part-time. I like to do everything full-time. Everything I do full-time. Everything. I'm a family man full-time. I'm a businessman full-time. I do it full-time. I've been here since morning. It's been like that all through this week. So for me, that is who I am. You have to evaluate yourself to be able to determine what you want to do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So for what you're saying, is not a one-size-fits-all. You need to evaluate your situation and know what exactly is the best for you per time. And you talked about how a lot of people listen to motivational speakers, and that's where they could make mistakes. But so I wanted to find out from you, what's your own perspective on mentorship, right? What is the role of mentorship, maybe in your own personal journey? And what's the role of mentorship to any entrepreneur, anybody that's hoping to build multiple figure businesses that we're talking about? And I know very recently there was a lot of controversy, probably with one of your colleagues as well in the real estate space, about the mentorship space, or about how much he was charging for the mentorship and all of that. So what's your own perspective on mentorship, and how much is ideal for mentorship? And is there any amounts you feel, oh no, if you're going to be paid mentorship for this much, then it's too much? What's your perspective on that?
Okay, one of my friends wrote a book many years ago, Dr. Oladipo Clement. The title of the book is Finding What Works for You. And I always give that opportunity for people to find what works for them. Because sometimes we can, design ideologies that are, based on our own situation, that are applicable to us and may not be applicable to people. And people might be in different environments and different systems. You probably will not know, what is playing out before you start telling them to do something. But principles are also universal. And so the principle of mentorship that you just talked about is you can't break it, all right? You either align with it or it breaks you. So the way I see mentorship is that somebody has been on a journey, knows the journey very well, has gotten to the destination that you want to get to, and you are saying, I know you've been here, you've been there a couple of times. Can you probably take me there? Rather than, okay, it's easier for you to take me there than for you to begin to describe to me. So in fact, describing it to me is also a form of mentorship, all right? But taking me by the hand and taking me there will be much more faster and easier for me. So you already know all the potholes that are on that road that we need to avoid. You already know all the places where we need to probably stop and, take a rest and all of that. You already know the system. So that's what mentorship is all about. Somebody taking you by the hand and taking you to a destination that they have been to. Mentorship cannot be underrated. It cannot be overlooked. I am a product of mentorship. I got here by virtue of mentorship, all right? And I advise people, for anything you are doing that you want it to be worthwhile, look for a mentor who can mentor you. There are mistakes you shouldn't make that your mentors have made. For people who want to go into real estate right now, if you probably take someone like me as your mentor, I'll be able to let you know how we started, some of the pitfalls that we got into, that we survived, that you don't necessarily have to fall into those pits. They said experience is the best teacher, but I think the other people's experience is less expensive. If you take other people's experience, it's less expensive than you paying money or paying whatever it is to gather your own experience. It doesn't mean that you won't go through your own experience also, but there are avoidable mistakes that you can avoid if you have a mentor who can take you through the journey. And I often put these caveats. When it comes to mentorship, there is more responsibility on the mentee than on the mentor. The mentor is a role model, somebody who has a pathway that you want to actually go through. So you that needs the mentorship should go after the mentor, so much after the mentor, because if you are waiting for your mentor to go after you, that's parenting. That's no longer mentorship, all right? Parenting is when somebody is a mentor that is going after the mentee. But when the mentee is going after the mentor, that is truly what is called mentorship. You are following after the footstep of the person. So you cannot go wrong with right mentorship. So let it be mentorship and not sponsorship, all right? Because some people, what they are looking for is sponsorship, not mentorship. And they just look for somebody who can sponsor their lifestyle, or somebody who can get them out of debt, or somebody who can get them out of one financial difficulty or the other. That's not it. Mentorship is all about leveraging on somebody's strength, leveraging on their experience, leveraging on their network, leveraging on their knowledge. It's called other people, different things, other people's money, other people's time, other people's whatever you can do, all right? So that's what mentorship is all about. And while you are also looking for mentors, be careful of tormentors, all right? People who torment you and not mentor you, because as there are many people who have gotten their fingers burnt by people who the so-called mentors who started tormenting them, demanding things from them that they could not afford or they could not offer. Then creating the balance on whether people should pay for mentorship or not. Well, I have never charged for mentorship, but I have benefited from my mentees. I've had my mentees come together to do things for me that if I had charged them, maybe they would not have been thinking of doing that, really. I don't know. But I have not had that opportunity to charge my mentees, and I would not condemn anybody who is charging. That's their own way. Maybe there is something, and sometimes value, the kind of value that is derived is also what determines whether they charge or not. I run trainings, some trainings that I charge for, all right? But in terms of mentoring people, I do not charge for mentoring people, at least for now. The reason why I say for now is so that tomorrow, if I start charging, they will not say, but you told us that you did not charge. I know that the more you go, the more you advance in life, the shorter your time, your availability of time to do a lot of things. So sometimes to reduce the number of people that will be clamoring for your time, you put like a figure to it. So if you can't pay, don't worry. And we used to say that if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. So, and really sometimes maybe when people pay, they place more demand. When people pay, they pay attention. I've seen people who, because they paid for the mentorship, they took the advice much more seriously than when they didn't pay. So it's all a matter of just looking at what works for you and being able to do. If you feel that you can't pay for mentorship, but know that no matter how, you still need to pay for mentorship, directly or indirectly. Because if you have a mentor and the mentor has poured everything into you and you always come, you don't contribute anything into the mentor's life, then that is that relationship is one-sided, all right? Whether it's material, whether immaterial things, you must also have something you are contributing into the life of the mentor. You must come valuable, all right? It's not just taking. You must give and take. That's life. Anybody who is always taking and not giving will not be able to build the right kind of relationship. So for me, mentorship is non-negotiable. But what type of mentorship system should you adopt? It just all depends on what works for you. If you feel that you don't want to pay, then look for other mentors who may not require you to pay. But sometimes when you pay more attention.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much. Now, we know one of the ways you build your business empire is through real estate. So speak to us a bit about the real estate. For someone, maybe a professional that wants to get into real estate and is thinking about this, what advice you be giving to them? And maybe an entrepreneur that feels, you know what, I want to go into real estate full time. So speak to us about the benefits or what real estate has contributed to your business, and then for advice for people that want to get into that space, or maybe professionals that are thinking, oh, I'm a full-time employee, how do I benefit from this and all of that? What would you be saying to them as well?
Okay, real estate is the only real business. Real estate is the only real asset. Real estate is the only real investment. And lastly, everybody is into real estate, directly or indirectly. Your entire life is categorized by real estate. When you are born in a hospital. So you were born in real estate. When God was creating you, He created you out of the dust of the earth, real estate. So your flesh is the dust of the earth, it's real estate, all right? When the person lives life, he will have to live in a house, whether he's renting or he bought it, whatever it is, you live in a house, real estate. You work in an office, real estate. Whatever you do, real estate. You drive, the ground that you are driving is real estate. You walk, the ground that you are stepping on, real estate. All right, and when the person also dies, where they will bury the person is real estate. So whether you like it or not, you just have to get involved. So you are now going to decide, how do I now get involved in this real estate in order to benefit from real estate? Do I want to go commercial? Do I want to go residential? Do I want to go, choose your path that you want to follow. Do I want to become a realtor? Do I want to become a broker? What do I want to do? Because real estate is good business. Most wealthy people in the world, when you check their portfolio, you will find real estate largely in their portfolio. It's one of those asset class that helps people retire in peace of mind. It's one of those asset class that you don't need to work for it to work. So it can replace your time of working. It's more like your money working for you. And I usually say that you can start by working for money, but as fast as possible, get to the point where it is your money that works for you. And real estate is one of those aspects that can help you build residual income where money is working for you and you are not necessarily working for money. So if you want to get into real estate, number one is to define the kind of real estate you want to get into. You define it because there are several aspects of real estate. There is residential, where you build for people to live in, they pay you. There is the hotel, where you own hotel. And I try to play in many of those things. There is agriculture. Agriculture is also real estate because the land that you're using to plant is real estate, all right? You can decide to go into agriculture. You can decide to go into warehousing, event hall, even burial ground. In fact, that one is very lucrative especially in this our climate in Africa. Burial ground, if you have a very good burial ground, some people have bought their burial ground before they died, and they sell in millions, and they just give you small land at a very expensive amount and all of that. So you need to define which aspect of real estate you want to get into. Maybe the next thing you need to do is to get into the network of real estate people and start understanding. Don't just do online research alone. Do real-time research. Real-time research means experiential knowledge, where you get to relate to with the people in the industry, because there are many things that are online that can be misleading. Because online is more like an aggregation of different knowledge here and there, different information that people have put down. If you soak in everything, you probably will not get the best. But when you get into the industry, you start getting to understand the industry. I went to also facilitate somewhere, and a young man was telling me he wanted to get into real estate and all of that they are building a solution that will be different. Young people always think that they want to win the world and all of that. And I said, okay. So I said, give me 3 major problems that are in the real estate industry. And they were just running around the circles, And I said, you don't even understand the problem you are trying to solve a problem, but you don't know the problem. How do you solve a problem? You don't know the problem, all right? And I said, the first thing I want to give you as an assignment is, number one, get involved. Get involved in real estate, in any capacity. Whether it's that you are a realtor, you become a realtor, or you begin to now, associate with people who are already in real estate and ask a lot of experiential questions. Then number 2, begin to now observe the problems, because when you are involved, you can see how the problem has persisted, and you can now come up with a solution. Because people think that with AI you can build everything in the world today, and well, it's getting there. You can build a lot with it, and I don't discount AI at all. AI can be very instrumental in many businesses, especially and even in real estate. But don't just rely on AI. Get real-time involved, and you can now start taking step by step. You can be an investor. You probably don't want to do this type that I am doing, that I'm running up and down everywhere, going to sell properties to people. Maybe you want to just be an investor. Maybe you want to even be flipping. You buy particular property, wait for some time, it goes up, and you flip it, and you just make your money. You just decide where you want to get involved in, but it is something mandatory for everybody to get involved in, either as a practitioner or as an investor. I'm presently building something that can enable people become, you can invest into real estate from anywhere you are, all right? It's called Real Estate Investment Trust, where you can invest in real estate from anywhere you are in the world. So you don't have the experience, you don't have the time, you don't have the capacity to do real estate, but you want to still make the real estate money. We have the experience, we have the capacity, we have the know-how, we know, we have been in the business for many years, all right? So we know what will work, and we have made money also, all right? So we are building that application. So if you don't want to get directly involved, you can just say, okay, look, I want to put my money here, let my money work for me, or let Mr. Wisdom work for me and give me the profits at the end of the day. So that's what I can say about that.
That's really fantastic, and that's really amazing especially for people that don't have the energy or they know how to run the business of real estate the way you're running it. So like you said, they don't have to be involved. Their money can do the work for them, or Mr. Wisdom can do the work for them. So please just let us know when that is ready so that we can give to as many people as possible. Now, I mean, we're enjoying this conversation, but we know we need to gradually start bringing this home, right? One of the reasons why we set up this podcast is to help people build 7-figure or multiple figure businesses, however, without sacrificing time, family, or freedom. Because a lot of people build this level of businesses, but they sacrifice everything else around that. Now, one of the things we've known about you, like you've talked about, you have, multiple figure business on the side, but you're also a family man. You have a family, you have a wife. We know you're into other things as well, like into the ministry and things like that. What advice would you give to people to ensure that, like I described it, that they have a life even while they're making a living? That while they're pursuing the billion-dollar contracts or billion-dollar businesses and everything, how do they ensure that the important things, their time, their family, their freedom, is not sacrificed in the process?
Very, very important question. I would say that some of the things that we refuse to pay attention to while we are pursuing money, we will use the money to pay attention to those things. So some people have worked tirelessly, used their health to run tirelessly. They have now made the money. When they are supposed to be enjoying the money, they are now using the money that they have made to restore their health. And they don't even have the luxury of being able to enjoy the money that they have worked. Because that's what happens when you are not careful about the things you do. I try to structure my life, to a large extent, because I'm largely a family man. All right, I maintain family time. I love my family, and I do everything to ensure that I create time for them. I will always say that whatever is important to you, you will create the time for it. You cannot be careless about something you care about. So for me, I would say that you need to structure your life. So one of the things I do is that I do quantity time at work and quality time at home. Quantity time at work and quality time at home. When I'm at home, my children, my wife, they know that daddy is at home. All right. And over the years, I've had to now be able to segment my mind. It cost me some things, because there are times in the early days of business when I will have some business issues and I will carry it in my head, get back home, and that would disturb affect my relationship with my wife and my children. But over the years, I have grown. I've been able to segment many things. So as it is right now, the moment I'm done here right now and I'm heading home, I have switched to home mode. So I have a lot of compartments in my brain. All right. So I'm able to switch from one to another. I can have a heated argument with some of my staff. We can have a heated argument with some contractors, and immediately my wife steps into my office, I can switch. I will just switch. I'm angry, but will never be angry at her, because that's the way your mind is supposed to work. It's supposed to be like it's supposed to be like circle breakers, right? You can switch on some things, switch off some things, and all of that. That's the way it is. If you don't have that, you will not be able to create the balance. You will carry challenges in business and take it into your home, and that may not end well. You can crash your family by doing so. There have been a lot of people who have crashed their families, who have injured themselves. The money they were looking for could not save them in the day of reckoning. The money they were looking for could not save them when their health started falling down or started falling apart and all of that. People have even died not creating balance. Now, to be sincere, the word work-life balance is not the same for everyone. I've had people say work-life balance is a scam. Well, I wouldn't say that totally, all right? But if you want to look at what it requires to build a business, you may say that work-life balance is a scam. But what we are saying in terms of work-life balance is create time for what's important. If family is important to you, create time for family. If your health is important to you, create time for your health. If your spirituality is important to you, create time for your spirituality while also creating time for your business. Because if you don't do that, once one of these aspects is suffering, it can also affect your business, because you don't want to know what issues people can have when they have marital crisis. All right, when you have marital crisis, the standard is that you cannot leave the partner empty, and that can affect your business directly or indirectly. All right, that can affect, and anything that can affect your emotions ultimately will affect your decision making and all of that. So you want to protect all of that, but growing, that maturity to be able to segment different things will actually even help you much more. That's the way I go about it, and I know that when it comes to women, you can't totally win the battle of time. All right, so women want more money and more time, but in my experience in life, I've come to realize that the more money you have, the less time you will have. The more time you have, the less money you will have. So all you need to do is to now see how you can create the balance. And I will always tell my wife, I say, my dear, you can't have more money and have more time together. All right, you need to choose one. So let me give you small time, more money. Or if you want more time, it means you will not get small money. All right. So, but just find a way to create time for whatever is important, because we don't want a situation whereby we are using the money that we have gathered to buy the things that we have lost.
Very, very powerful advice. Thank you so very much. Now, the last question. Imagine you woke up one morning and just everything we knew about wisdom Ezekiel had been disappeared. Imagine someone went online and went everywhere and deleted everything we know about you, and we don't know you, and you have to literally start your life, start your business, start your career all over again. Where are you going to start from, and what are you going to do differently this time?
First of all, I would say God forbid. Because I know what it takes to start from the scratch. I am not really afraid of starting all over, but it will require a lot to start all over. But if I'm going to start all over, I think the first thing I want to do is to go take a retreat and go for a visioning session. You see, I said it when I started that vision is a driver. If what you want to achieve is not clear to you, you'll be bumping into different kind of obstacles. But when it's clear to you, even when you bump into obstacles, you know that you are still on the journey. The journey is defined. So the first thing I will do is to go into a visioning session and to find out, do more like spirit searching, or what some people call soul searching, but for us who are believers, we call it spirit searching, waiting on God to be able to, direct your mind, direct your thoughts. He said, I will stand on the watch and set me upon the tower to see what he will say to me. Not to hear, is to see. Until you can see what is said, you will not be able to run. He said, cast the vision, make it plain, so that everyone that reads it will run. They will run. And if they are reading it and they are running, imagine what you'll be doing. You'll be flying with the vision. So vision would be one of my major things that I would do. That's that. Then once I am out, the next thing is to announce the next big thing. You see, you can never keep quiet in a very noisy world. announcing what you're doing, being vocal about what you're doing. Now you got the vision, begin to make everybody run. And one of the things that I would do early is to invest so much in technology. I will not play down on technology. I will tell you that we did a bit in technology, but we didn't start early. All right. By the time we realized it, we were too far from technology that we had to now start a technology company. So I own a technology company called Data Force. I have about maybe 15 guys who are all these programmers and all of that. I have about 15 of them, and they are one of the most expensive people to hire in today's market. All right, you pay millions to be able to hire them, and we have a team of over 15 of them who currently work to develop most of our applications. So I will go big on technology. I will infuse AI into everything I do to ensure that it is running simply, and I will begin to look at designing a product that can serve millions of people. One of the fastest ways to become wealthy is to get your product to serve millions of people. Once you can design products that is tenable, what you just want to do is to set your first target of 1 million customers and begin to pursue 1 million customers. Once you hit 1 million customers in any product, whether it's $1 product, $10 product, 1 million customers will give you some very crazy comeback. And I think I will also invest in things that are essentials. All right, I will go essentials, food, the medical space, the tech space, the agriculture, real estate, and all of that. I will, because me, I'm a businessman and I'm an investor. I just look out for how I can, get into different sectors. Somebody asked me one day that how much would they pay me to sit down, because my family is in Canada, to sit down in Canada. I said, I was looking, say, what if we pay you $30,000? I said, $30,000, that won't do anything. That my responsibility is so much that I said, let's start with $1 million. And the person was just laughing. I said, maybe if you give me $1 million per month, I probably will say, okay, let me sit down and see what I can do with $1 million. All right. But be that as may, I'm very restless. Even with $1 million, I will be challenging the owner of the company, and except we'll become part owners or co-founders or co-owners, and we can run the business. I like to make valuable contributions. I like to ensure that wherever I am, and that's been the trajectory of my life. I've made, everywhere I go, there's nowhere I don't make a mark. They know that I don't get to a place and you didn't know that I wasn't there, especially when it has to do with something that I have huge interest in. So, and I will also not play down on mentorship, as we have discussed. I won't play down on it at all. Then making my product global. Global products are usually the best because you can sell it everywhere in the world and you can earn currency across different countries. I think that would be it.
Oh, wow. Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel, you have just taken us through a masterclass in entrepreneurship, starting from scratch and building into multiple billion-dollar businesses that you're running, and not at the expense of your time, your family, your time, and your freedom. I have enjoyed every bit of this conversation, and I know everybody that is listening right now would also feel the same way. So I'd just like to say thank you for taking out time out of your very busy schedule to be with us today.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast. And I want to appreciate everybody who will be listening to this, and to say that together we will build great businesses. Thank you very much.
What I love about Mr. Wisdom's story is that it reminds us of a powerful truth. Building wealth is not just about the millions you stack, but about the person you become in the process. From scratch to scale, he has shown us that you can build wealth without burning bridges. That wealth doesn't have to come at the expense of your time, your family, and your freedom. And if you're listening right now, I want you to ask yourself, what empire are you building? But more importantly, who are you becoming in the process? Because the greatest wealth isn't just what you earn. It's about the freedom, the legacy, and the impact that we leave behind. Thank you, Mr. Wisdom, for reminding us that success isn't just about hustle alone. It's about wisdom in action. And thank you for tuning in. And if this conversation spoke to you, share it with someone that is on their journey from scratch to scale. Until next time that I come your way with another edition of the Good Code Podcast, remember, there's greatness on your inside and the world is waiting for you to birth and manifest your greatness. Go out there and be profitable, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye for now.